Good day, everybody. We are back with yet another show of Leaders Speak. And today we have another very interesting leader who's joining us, who's going to share some wonderful key insights. And it is none other than Yogesh Gupta. Yogesh has been the editorial director of events both in India as well as the Middle East region. And in his earlier role, he has been an executive director at IDG Communications. He has a career span of more than 2 decades and about 18 years with the Foundry Group, right? So warm welcome to you, Yogesh, and I'm so excited and I look forward to hearing your insights because you've been dealing and you've been hosting so many events for both B2B tech events, your brands, you work so closely with CIOs and CSOs, I mean, globally, and then you host these award functions for the CIOs. So it's an extremely interesting profile, and I'm really keen and I look forward to getting your insights. So warm welcome to you, Yogesh. Would you like to say a hello message to our viewers?
Yeah. Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you for hosting me for this episode of your talk show. I think so. Whatever I've gained, I'll share, and I hope it will be useful for the viewers. So, looking forward for the conversation.
Yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Since you're a keynote speaker, I'm sure you have tons of information up your sleeve. So I'm really curious and eager to for you to share all these insights with our listeners today. So I'd like to start off by asking you to take us through your leadership journey and what attributes do you think has helped you to reach this particular position?
Yeah, that's a great question to start off, right? So, as you said, it's a leadership journey. So, it's a journey which is still going on, right? And obviously, any journey for any leader or an executive today, it has its ups and downs. But a true leader is who rises from the down and makes an up. So, I think so. It's been an enriching journey, starting from Times of India as a correspondent, engineer, and then correspondence, and then into journalism. So it's been a different. So many people ask me like engineer and then journalism. I said life always takes you where you do not plan, right? So I'm good with that, and I think so. The leadership traits, we can talk about it, but I think so. A few things which I think so has helped is we are living in a very volatile world, right? In the last 20 years, uh, both globally, India, economy, and so we need to figure out how you can work with your teams. When I say teams, the upper ups is fine, your bosses, but the lower half is also extremely important. So I think so. A great leader is who works on both the halves of the pyramid, right? It's not always working on the top; it's always working on your, team members. So that's one part. Second, I think so. When I come from the media or journalism industry, I think so. One attribute which is connect, right? I have the 5 C's of media and journalism, if I can share. So I think so. For the first one is connect. How do you connect to the audience? One is content, right? So content is one side, and community is one side. And how do you connect that? That's the third C. And the fourth C is communication, extremely important. You have to have a clear communication, right? And the fifth one is how do you make it a constant thing as choosing the right one. So the fifth one is a choice. How do you make sure you're reaching the right content to the right audience at the right time? So that's attribute number two. Have those 5 C's in place. Third attribute for the leader, I think so, could be teamwork. We have already spoken, but I think so also celebrating the small joys of success, not only the big ones. I always believe
Right.
you always have those big joys and you celebrate with pomp and show, but even a small uh, win or small joy of your employee is equally important to celebrate, because as I said, today's Gen Z millennial is very different than what we used to do in starting up, right? Today they switch jobs like switching buttons, like unlike us, right? So you need to also keep them motivated. I think so. A good leader is who keeps that team motivated. These would be my 3 or 4 attributes of a leadership journey.
Super, super awesome. In fact, two of the things that you said really resonated with me, or 5 C's stood out for me. And like you said, go along where life takes you, because that's what happened to me as well after being in the corporate world and
Okay.
CFO, now a business and leadership coach working on, improving potential
Yeah.
performance and profits. So those 2 points like really stood out to me from whatever you spoke, Yogesh. Thanks for that. Moving on, I'd like to ask you, since our talk show is Fly High, which is finance leadership and your high performance, let me start off with finance. So what role does understanding finance, in your opinion, what is the importance of understanding finance for the success, especially in the media business? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. Finance is the backbone on any business, right? Whether you're directly involved in the department or not, but it is your important. What businesses are here to make money, right? So
Right.
understanding finance from the broader aspect is extremely important for any company, be it a media company or an events company, right? Obviously, you would have your finance team and your experts who would manage a particular event and make sure they are making the money. But at the back end, your team and you should be aware of how the finance works, right? For example, if in an event, you have a vendor who's giving you, example, an AV setup for $100, right? Does your team member have someone who can give you at 80, right? He should be aware of, okay, I can also chip in. So as a leader also, do not overshoot your juniors. They might have good contacts with you because today it's an open world, right? Everyone has their connects. So I think so understanding that financial, making sure everybody understands in your team that finance, not to the granular level, only on the superficial level, right? And
Yes.
also encourage people to say, okay, we are doing this. Do you have someone, a keynote speaker who can speak at X amount, or a great celebrity speaker who can speak at X amount, or a AV vendor who can give us something, right? So if they understand that, if you're buying something at $100, and if I can get something, I know someone who's done a great job at $80 in the market, you are saving $20 for your company, right? Indirectly, you're adding to your profits and you're getting a praise from the leaders. So I think so financial is extremely important, but not on the granular level, but yeah, from the financial
Right,
perspective.
right. Wonderful, wonderful insights that you shared there. So my takeaway on this is that, involve your team members and, get their inputs as well, which is again, I think a great attribute for leadership as well, right? Now, in the media business, if you were to look at the high performance, like, so in your perspective, how does the digital content and social media, how do they contribute to elevate a company's brand?
Extremely important. And if I can add to the previous one, I missed out a point on the previous one on the financial. I think so in media or events, I look at financial as two different streams. One is your tangible and one is your intangible ROI, right? Tangible is pretty simple. You have X amount of cost of an event, for example, and you have Y revenues from your sponsors, and you take out your cost and everything, employee cost, and you make some money, which is your desired money by the corporate. That's fine. That's
Right.
easy to do. Tried and tested formula will vary little bit here and there. It will not vary much. But I
Yes.
think so the intangible ROI is extremely important for events business. When I say intangible ROI, it means is your delegate or your CIO who's coming to the event getting a great customer experience, and your sponsor is getting a great return of investment, right? These are intangible. They will feel happy, they will feel good at the event, but they will not add to your revenues, right? Directly. So that's an intangible ROI.
Yes. Yes.
That's like customer experience is the new king. I always say that in my keynotes, right? It's the experience you get from your the event, right?
Yeah.
Now it happens they will be happy, and okay, a sponsor is happy, for example, just giving us a weird example. A sponsor is happy from a particular event, and next event he doubles the money, right? So tangibly also you're benefiting, and intangibly also you're benefiting because you gave them that experience, right? To your question, I think so content is extremely important. How do you make digital content? I'll go to my first answer saying the right content for the right audience at the right time, right? In today's online piece, there's so much of digital content. How do you stand out,
Right.
right? That's the important piece because everybody is hooked onto their laptop, apps, mobiles, right? So there's a lot of content which is being pushed to them, right? Earlier, the days of journalism, just digressing a bit, 20 years back, you used to pull content from the newspaper or take it from a newsstand, right?
Yes.
Nowadays, the content is being pushed to you. So it's now you're from the pull market, you're going to a push market. Everything is
Yes.
being pushed to you.
Yes.
Now, what you want to pull, or I can just say what you want to pick from that content is extremely important, right? and you will pick only the content which hits you at that point, and which is unique, which is original, which is something to do with you might you might like at that time, right? So content is extremely important, but you need to use it very intelligently, right? In a world of AI, uh, pushing content is HI, which is human intelligence, I would say. You have to put your human brains and say, okay, this is the content I want to put on social media or online. There, AI can help you, but AI is again a machine. There is your human intelligence because you have interacted with your audience over the course of time.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. So, like three particular things really stood out for me. One is I'm glad, as a finance professional, you touched upon the intangible ROI part of it, and also the customer experience, because that's something I think, beyond the measure, like you said.
Yeah.
Those 2 points were like really, really awesome. And of course, definitely the push and pull part that you touched upon. So, amazing points that you've been sharing. Thank you for that, Yogesh. And then I'd like to move on and ask you, since you're from a tech and you work closely with different tech CIOs and CISOs, how do you think a leader should leverage on technology for business growth and success? And how has it helped you grow your personal brand as well?
Okay, that's a question which I really love, right? And I think so. I'll take the first part, right? Any corporate leader, if you see last 10 years, I'm just taking a ballpark figure. In every 10 years, you would hardly see a CEO, CIO, CSO of a big company tweeting, and I'm talking about India, or putting it on LinkedIn, right? But today, I think so it's a mandate from the Corpcom or the big companies. All the CIOs, CEOs also retweet or repost and put their comments and like the piece. Because again, I said, because everything is now instant gratification in a content world, right? Gone are the days when you wait for a newspaper or a magazine to come after a month. Today, it's like 24 hours. You do an event within 24 hours, everybody tweets about it. Your
Yes.
ROI is met. So it's instant ROI, days of instant ROI back, right? So all leaders have to do that. And it's good because it builds your brand, it builds your own brand. CIOs also I've seen a lot of CIOs and CISOs in India and globally also sharing a lot of reports which others might not have, very exclusive reports, or some anecdotal reference or some story which they have heard without naming that person, which makes for interesting piece, right? So I think so that also helps because uh, you would assume everybody knows everything, but everybody does not know everything. So if you share something interesting, I think so the corporates and the CIOs are doing that, or the CEOs are doing that, which is good. I think so it's a need of the hour. You cannot be a person who will say, "Oh, I did not tweet my best launch of the century. I was not aware." You cannot say that today. So,
Right.
so I think so that's a de facto wherein CIOs and C-level people are giving or sharing their profile, corporate profile. So that's a must. I think so. From personal brand, I think so. Again, personal brand is also very important for a leader. One is your corporate brand because you are XYZ at a particular company, but what is your personal brand, right? Not saying you love football or you love watching movies, that's a different story, but what is your intake or outtake on a particular situation, right? What is your unique quote? You can put it on something which has happened in the corporate world or business world. Do you have your own journalistic take on that or something like that, right? So I think so that's also important. For me, I think so it was gradual. I think so I built it over the last 10 years, specifically on Twitter and LinkedIn. uh, it takes time, right? It takes your efforts because you have to be little consistent, right? And you have to be, as I said earlier, you have to be original, right? So
Yes.
for me, I think so. What I did was one day I said, let's put some Bollywood tadka to my quotes on LinkedIn, right? So that's what it started around. I think so 5 years back, if I'm not mistaken. And
Right.
now every event or each event I go, people say, "Arey, what is the next post and which song you're putting on Bollywood?" So I think so creating a new original piece has been good because people look forward to you, and the first thing I said, they connect with you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that connect is very important, and that only you will get in the content if you have your individual style. It can be anything. I'm just saying
Right.
some things work, something do not work, right? So that makes it important because I think so that has helped me because my journalistic background has helped me because I try to put some catchy headlines. I try to put some interesting anecdotals and then weave a story and take some shero shairi or take a Bollywood song. Not for all posts, majority which I can do,
Sure.
and that helps. And I think so. The proof of the pudding is many of the leaders have started using kind of my things on their big presentations.
Oh,
Bollywood songs, obviously not mentioning my name, which is okay. I like to inspire people,
right.
but I think so it's good to see, right? So it can be anything. Your personal brand will always be your personal, what you are personally. That's
Unique.
very important, right? You cannot imitate unique. You cannot imitate anyone. It will give you likes, but it will not give you the connect. So I think so the connect is important. I can share few examples. So as you said, we do a lot of host a lot of awards, and when the awards come nearer, people get excited who are going to win or who are shortlisted, right? And then one day I said, "Inteha ho gayi pyar ki," the wait is over, and then people connected to it. I said, "Yeah, yeah, inteha ho gayi, hai na, intezar ki," something like that. Or you could have AI, which is a new topic, right? And for AI, it would be, what is the promise of AI?
Hmm.
So one of the post I said, "Kya hua tera wada?" You pretended to be a great promise, but did you deliver? Something like that, which is
Right,
little
right.
unique,
Yes.
but and obviously then you need to build your network, which is
Yeah.
of meaningful individuals, not for numbers.
Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful, wonderfully said. So, in fact, like you said, a while ago on the human intelligence, I think by inducing this Bollywood flavor, it's your human intelligence that's coming to it. That's really, really amazing. Yes, thanks for that, Yogesh. And then I would also like to ask you, your opinion on my book, What the Finance, which is talks about simple and easy finance practices for businesses. I know I'm like so grateful to you that you gave a copy of the book to all your delegates at the Asia Pacific CIO conference. So, what prompted you to pick it up, and what is it that you like about the book?
No, so the whole point was, a couple of years back when we approached you to do one of these sessions at CIO 100 in Bangalore awards. We were looking at different aspects from a content perspective, right? The content has to be meaningful for the CIO. I'll again go back to my point of how you need to build great content. And we thought, okay, CIOs are also involved in the finance in a way, right? They buy a particular technology at X amount, they have to justify to the CFO why they are buying it. So we said, okay, so I remember I spoke to you and I said, why didn't you do an session on finance and broader terms? And I think so there we also had the opportunity to give the your book to the delegates, right? So I read the book. It's been 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think so. Whatever I read, I think so. It's complex things made simpler. So I think so. That's one part. And I think so. Storyteller. How do you tell the story in a way where you flip the pages of the book, right? That's the essence. So since you brought it up, I need to read it again.
Good, good. But I really appreciate your memory. It's been 3 years, like you said, but you still remember the key aspects. So that's something I really appreciate you about. So thanks for that. And another thing I'd like to understand from you is you're an engineering graduate from Mumbai University and now, leading tech events for one of the largest world media and the data services company. So what are some of the key learnings that stood out for you and what is it that you would like to share?
There's always a learning. I think so. The day we'll stop to learn, we will be not relevant in this world, right? So that's one part. I think so. It was never my thing of, not from engineer, not going into journalism and events, leading the curation for events. It happened. It just happened, as I said, right? Uh, though most of or half of my engineering mates are today in working on all big tech companies in US, which is fine. But I was never, towards the end of the engineering, I did a job for 1 year, but I was never very passionate about that job for whatever reasons. And I said, I want to start writing. And I just started writing for Times of India as a freelancer. And they liked my writing. And then when IDG was forming their base in India, they hired me. So I think so. It was not planned, but learnings have been immense, as I said, because when I joined, we were by far the biggest, largest print media company globally, right? And obviously, we saw the print declining for everyone. We were one of the first ones to say, okay, print is dead from a B2B magazine, and we moved to online, and then we went to events, and then we went to data services. Yeah, so that was a quite steep learning curve, I would say, from that perspective, to shift from gears from print to digital, online, and from online to events, right? But the core principle of learning remains the same. How do you make your platform, which is your media platform, great for sellers of enterprise technologies to the buyers of enterprise technologies, right? Your media will change. Yesterday it was print, then it was online. Today it is events. Tomorrow it is apps. Day after it will be AI-driven apps. You never know, right?
Yeah.
But your platform will remain same. What you're doing is making the high value sellers of technology meet. So a lot of learnings from that perspective. But I think so. Feedback. I think so. Feedback is where you learn a lot about your community and about your network. I think so. Feedback is something which we feel it's just a word, but I think so. Feedback is extremely important, not only from your events. I constantly check or do dipsticks, as they call it, with my CIOs communities on whatever topics, different topics of tech, right? And it
Awesome.
helps me understand better. So
Right.
next time I talk to them, I have something interesting to tell them.
Super, super. Very, very nice. Uh, Over to the last question. Now, sometime back, I heard you say that you've been consistent in your posts, right? So, and I think consistency is a great trait for high performance, right? So, from your perspective, if you were to share three things that makes an organization a high performance business, what would those three be?
Uh, Three is very tough. Okay, there are
Okay. Or
many.
okay, whatever you want
Uh,
to share.
okay, no, I'll just. So I think so. I think so. Shifting of goalpost is a must happening in the. So don't lose your focus. Your goalpost will always change,
Hmm.
right? Be it any business you are, your goalpost will always change, right? Your economic conditions, your customer behavior, which is extremely important in today's world. Your customers can switch at the flick of their button on the mobile, right?
Absolutely.
So goalpost will always change. So keep your focus. That would be one.
Super.
Second is learning. I think so. We've already spoken about it, but I think so. Be consistent in terms of eye for detail. Okay, my second would be eye for detail.
Right.
Eye for detail is extremely important for a leader.
Hmm.
Even if it's a small thing, they notice something, flag it off, right? Because small things always lead to a big disaster, right? They always say mosquitoes bite, and that bite can be fatal, right? It's always the small things which make a
True.
big difference.
True.
You might feel it's a very small, if it's an error, for example, you're doing a great event and you spot a small error, you say, "Ha, theek hai, chalega." But if one of your sponsors or someone tells you that, your intangible ROI goes for a toss,
Yes.
what I brought
Yes.
it forward, right? So eye
Absolutely.
for detail is
Awesome.
extremely important.
Awesome.
Um, Third one would be, yeah, I've already spoken most of it. I'm just trying to figure out
Sure.
what should I say? Uh, I think so. Listen to your juniors. I think so. That's extremely important.
Nice.
Uh, as a leader, you would tend to know you know everything, but I've worked with both sides of the demographics, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Some of the younger generation is crazily talented than you.
Yes.
I have no qualms in saying
Absolutely.
that, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
For what they are good at, take their feedback, right? Listen to them, right? Do not just say, okay, your idea is bakwas, I know this everything. Even if you know it, hear them out. It's okay.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
can always say, yeah, I know this, but can you better it? So I
Yes.
think so that is important.
Super.
The fourth one would be I think so futuristic. I think so a leader has to look at or anticipate what future holds for them or their
True.
business,
Yes. Yes. Very well said.
because sometimes it will be uncertain,
Mm.
uh, sometimes it will be certain, and sometimes you'll be thrown off the cliff. So you need to have your backup in place, which is tough, I would say, because I did not want to bring it up, but I think so. During COVID, we all knew it can happen anytime, right? Such unnatural calamity can happen, and
Yes.
people who have shifted gears after that. So I'll give you an example. People who were not anticipating, but who were prepared for such calamities in the tech world, CIOs, they came out stronger. Not they were expecting COVID, but they had prepared. They are, as a leader, they thought, not COVID, but something can happen, and let's take my systems in place, right? So they came out stronger,
Right.
right? So that foresight is very important, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes that foresight can fire back, but I think so. Thing and last but not the least is people make it corporate. Okay, like clothes make man. I think so. People make it the corporate, right?
Right.
Invest in them because
Yeah.
your processes are fine, your technology is fine, your
Yeah.
AI is fine, your investors are fine in a corporate, but it's your people and your team which can make or break your company.
Yes, yes, beautiful. I love the last point because I also always quote that. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Yogesh. There were some wonderful insights, and I really enjoyed having this conversation. And I'm sure our viewers would also love your talk and have a lot of takeaways from what you said. Thanks once again for sharing your knowledge, and we'll catch up soon. Take care, stay well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for having me. Thank you so much.